Is that recurring anxiety you feel actually yours? Or are you feeling the echo of a forgotten trauma from your great-grandmother? In the next minutes, you will discover the scientific proof that your DNA is a living archive of your ancestors' lives, and I will give you a simple protocol to transform their pain into your greatest power. This isn't just about understanding your past, it's about liberating your future. Let us begin with a question, one that may sit quietly in the deepest part of your awareness. Do you ever feel as though you are fighting battles that are not entirely your own? Perhaps it happens in a moment of conflict when you are arguing with a loved one, and suddenly you hear your mother's words, her exact tone, coming from your own mouth. Or maybe it's a quiet Tuesday afternoon, and a wave of inexplicable sadness washes over you, a grief for a loss you have never personally known. It could be that persistent, quiet anxiety around money, a fear of scarcity that lingers even when your life is abundant, a fear you might recognize as the same one that haunted your grandfather. These are the moments we are often taught to dismiss as personality quirks, irrational fears, or character flaws we must overcome. For generations, we have been told that we are born as blank slates, and that our lives are a direct result of our own choices, our own thoughts, our own willpower. We have been taught to see these recurring patterns as personal failings, evidence of where we are not trying hard enough, not thinking positively enough, not evolving fast enough. We carry the shame of these patterns as a solitary burden, believing they are ours and ours alone to fix. But what if this entire view is profoundly incomplete? What if these are not your flaws at all, but rather echoes? An echo is a sound that has outlived its source, a vibration that continues to travel through time and space long after the original event has passed. This is precisely what lives within you, an echo of a promise broken 3 generations ago, now showing up in your life as a deep-seated inability to trust. An echo of a great migration, a loss of home and land, now manifesting as a subtle, lifelong feeling of not quite belonging anywhere. An echo of a joy so profound it was considered dangerous, now expressing itself as your own hesitation to fully embrace happiness when it arrives. The ancient wisdom traditions have always understood this. They spoke of ancestral spirits, of family karma, of inherited legacies and blessings. But today, in a language the modern world is more prepared to hear, we might call them biological ghosts. Not in the frightening sense of a haunting, but in the profound scientific sense of an energetic signature. A memory that has been encoded. A story that lives on, not in a house, but in your very cells. This is not merely poetry. It is the frontier where deep mysticism and quantum biology are beginning to agree. Science is now developing the tools to detect these subtle imprints, these chemical signatures of experience that are woven into the very fabric of our being, passed down from one generation to the next like a sacred and sometimes sorrowful inheritance. And the deepest implication of this is a truth that can change everything. You are not alone. You have never been alone. In your moments of deepest struggle, you are not wrestling with a personal demon, but with a family shadow that is asking, through you, for light. And in your moments of unexplainable strength, you are not drawing from a finite well of personal courage, but from a deep reservoir of ancestral resilience you never knew you had. You are a living, breathing archive of 1,000 lives, a convergence point for every love, every fear, every act of courage, and every silent prayer that came before you. The question, then, is not whether these echoes exist. The question is what they are asking of you. For within every echo of pain, there is a corresponding echo of power. Within every inherited burden, there is an inherited key. And our journey together is to learn how to listen, not just to your own life, but to the lives that are listening through you. For centuries, we have held a very mechanical view of our inheritance. We believed that our DNA was a fixed blueprint, a set of rigid instructions passed down to us that we were powerless to change. But what if this blueprint is less like a rigid architectural drawing and more like a piece of cosmic music? Imagine for a moment that your DNA is not a book, but a vast and sacred musical score. It contains the entire symphony of your lineage, every soaring crescendo of triumph, every haunting melody of loss, every powerful rhythm of resilience. The notes written on this page, the fundamental genetics, are indeed fixed. They are the inheritance you received. But here is the secret that science has only recently uncovered. The music is not played by the notes alone. There is a musician. This musician is epigenetics. Epigenetics is the invisible hand that moves across the score of your DNA. It is the ancestral musician that decides how your family's symphony is played through you. It is the intelligence that chooses to play a passage of joy with soaring strength, or fortissimo. It is the wisdom that decides to whisper a melody of fear almost inaudibly, or pianissimo. And most critically, it is the memory that sometimes chooses to skip over a section of unresolved trauma entirely, leaving a heavy, painful silence in the music of your life. You feel that silence. You feel that something is missing, that a part of your own song has been left unplayed. This isn't a mere metaphor. It is a biological reality discovered in the most unlikely of places. In the meticulous records of a remote Swedish town called Överkalix, scientists unearthed a stunning truth. They found that the abundance or scarcity of food for one generation had a direct and measurable impact on the health and lifespan of their grandchildren. The experience of a grandfather, whether he starved or feasted as a young boy, left a chemical tag, an epigenetic mark, on his DNA. This tag acted as a message to the future, instructing the bodies of his descendants on how to prepare for a world of either lack or plenty. Their ancestors' experience had become their biology. The song of the past was being played in the bodies of the present. This scientific discovery gives us a physical mechanism for what the great psychologist Carl Jung called the collective unconscious. Jung proposed that all of humanity is connected through a shared field of memories and archetypes. Epigenetics suggests how this vast ocean of experience might flow into the specific river of your own family. It is how the universal archetype of the wounded healer or the orphan child gets expressed with the unique tonality and signature of your bloodline. And this brings us to a deeply compassionate understanding. Why would this ancestral musician continue to play the painful parts of the score? Why would it repeat the melodies of suffering? The answer is not punishment. It is love. A profound and often blind, invisible loyalty. As children, we are psychically bound to our family system. We unconsciously vow to belong at any cost. If a parent or grandparent suffered, a part of our soul believes that to be happy, to be more successful than them, would be a betrayal. And so the epigenetic musician, guided by this innocent love, continues to play the sad song. It repeats the pattern, not out of malice, but out of a deep, unconscious loyalty to the suffering that came before. And here we touch upon one of the soul's most profound paradoxes, that an act of immense love can become a cage of immense suffering until a conscious heir decides to love in a new way. A way that honors the past not by repeating it, but by healing it. So, reflect on this for a moment. The music playing in your life right now, is it truly yours? Or can you hear the faint melodies of your mother's anxieties, your father's unspoken griefs, your ancestors' unfinished symphonies? If the trauma of our ancestors can silence parts of our music, what happens when we inherit loyalties to destinies that are not ours? To understand the music of our lineage is one thing. To understand why we keep playing the sad songs is another. For this, we must turn to the profound work of the philosopher Bert Hellinger and his discovery of the invisible forces that govern our family systems. Hellinger, through decades of therapeutic work, uncovered a startling truth. The family system operates like a soul of its own, with a powerful, instinctive drive toward balance. And when this balance is disturbed, the consequences ripple down through generations. He found that if an ancestor in the family system was excluded, forgotten, judged, or suffered a tragic fate that was too painful for the family to fully acknowledge, someone in a future generation would, out of a blind and innocent love, unconsciously repeat their fate. This is what he called a systemic entanglement. It is the invisible loyalty we spoke of, made manifest. Imagine your family tree not as a collection of separate individuals, but as a delicate mobile hanging in perfect balance. If one figure is suddenly cut off and cast aside, the entire structure shudders and tilts. To restore the balance, another figure on the other side must lean in an equal and opposite direction, often without knowing why. You may be that figure, leaning into a depression, an addiction, a financial struggle, or a pattern of failed relationships, simply because the soul of your family is asking you to look at someone who was forgotten. It is you, trying to carry a suitcase that belongs to someone else out of loyalty. It is heavy. It does not contain your things, and you have no idea why you are carrying it. You only know the ache in your shoulders and the weariness in your soul. Hellinger discovered that the soul of a family has its own code of ethics, which he called the orders of love. These orders are simple, powerful, and when they are violated, the entanglements begin. The first order is that everyone has an equal right to belong. The ancestor who was shamed, the child who was lost, the relative who was judged. If they are cast out from the family's heart, their story will demand to be seen again, through you. The second order is that of hierarchy and time. Those who came before must be honored. Life flows from the past to the present. When a child out of love tries to save a parent or carry their parent's emotional pain, they are reversing this sacred flow. This act, born of compassion, creates immense confusion in the soul and blocks the child from fully receiving the gift of their own life. And finally, there is the order of balance between giving and receiving. When this balance is broken, when a great injustice is done and never acknowledged, the system will seek to balance its books, often generations later. The ancient Greek myth of Atlas comes to mind. He was a titan condemned to carry the heavens on his shoulders for eternity. This is a perfect metaphor for the entangled descendant. You are carrying the weight of a world that is not yours. You are holding up a sky of unspoken grief, of unacknowledged pain. You feel its immense weight in your own life, in your own body, in your own heart. You may think it is your own personal struggle, but you are, in fact, serving a hidden law, honoring a forgotten story, out of a love so deep you were never even conscious of it. So I ask you to consider, what invisible loyalties might you be serving? What heavy suitcase might you be carrying? If we are entangled in a destiny that is not our own, how can we possibly reclaim our own song and activate the true potential sleeping in our DNA? So we find ourselves entangled in invisible loyalties, playing out the silent music of our ancestors' lives. The natural question that arises in the heart is a powerful one. How do we break free? How do we find our own melody? This brings us to a concept you may have heard in spiritual circles, a term often shrouded in mystery and fantasy: DNA activation. Let us be clear. DNA activation is not a magical event with flashing lights, nor is it a cosmic button that will be pushed for you. It is something far more intimate, more powerful, and entirely within your grasp. DNA activation is an act of conscious sovereignty. It is the moment you, the musician of the present, pick up the ancestral score, look at the passages of pain and silence, and decide, for the first time, to play the music in a new way. To activate your DNA is to choose, with deliberate and loving intention, to express the codes of resilience, joy, creativity, and wisdom that have always been there, written into the score, but have been muted by the lingering resonance of trauma. It is the declaration that the sad songs have been played enough. It is the decision to give voice to the melodies of peace that your ancestors yearned for but could not find. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche spoke of life's ultimate task as the charge to become who you are. We can now understand this not just as a personal journey, but as a generational one. To become who you are is to become the one your lineage has been waiting for. It is the process of lovingly disentangling yourself from the herd morals of your family, the unspoken rules, the limiting beliefs, the vows of suffering, not as an act of rebellion, but as an act of evolution. You are not rejecting your family, you are liberating it. You are expressing the unique and powerful will of your own soul, which is, in fact, the highest and most potent expression of your entire bloodline's potential. This is not just a beautiful spiritual idea. It has a direct parallel in the science of the human body. Think of neuroplasticity, the proven ability of your brain to form new neural pathways, to literally rewire itself based on new thoughts, new habits, and new experiences. Just as your brain can forge new paths through the forest of your mind, your consciousness, through focused intention and feeling, can teach your body to read its genetic instructions differently. You are, in essence, creating new epigenetic pathways. You are teaching the ancestral musician a new song. You are showing your own cells that the world of scarcity your grandfather knew is not your reality now. You are demonstrating to your nervous system that the danger your great-grandmother fled is over. Through your own healing, your own choices, and your own courage to feel joy, you are sending a powerful message back through time, a message that says, the struggle is over, we are safe now. It is time to play the music of peace. This is the code of liberation. It is the realization that your healing is not a selfish act. It is a profound service to the past and a sacred gift to the future. This is the great revelation. You did not come here to be an echo. You came to be the voice that changes the melody forever. We have journeyed through the hidden landscapes of our own biology, through the invisible laws that govern our families, and through the profound potential sleeping in our very cells. And now, we arrive at the heart of the matter. The moment where all the pieces converge into a single, life-altering revelation. The science of epigenetics has shown you the map, revealing how the experiences of the past are written into the landscape of your body. The wisdom of family constellations has revealed the invisible chains, the loyalties that have kept you tethered to a destiny that was never yours. And the promise of DNA activation has given you the key, the understanding that you hold the power to choose which song you will sing. And with this map, these chains, and this key in your hands, you can finally see the truth. You are not the heir to a prison. You are the alchemist of a lineage. For your entire life, you may have felt like an heir. An heir is passive. An heir receives what is given, whether it is a crown or a debt. An heir is defined by the story of the past, carrying the legacy, for better or for worse. To be an heir is to feel that your life is a consequence, a reaction to a story that was written long before you were born. It is to feel the weight of that suitcase, and to believe your only job is to carry it. But an alchemist is an agent of transformation. An alchemist does not see a base substance as a final state, but as a beginning. The ancient alchemists sought to turn lead into gold. They understood that the most profound transformation requires the most humble of materials. They did not discard the lead, they honored it. They worked with it. They saw it not as a curse, but as a sacred possibility. This is who you are. That heavy, dense, and difficult inheritance, the trauma, the karma, the patterns of suffering that have moved through your bloodline, that is not your sentence. That is your lead. It is the sacred, raw material that your ancestors have passed down to you because you, and only you, possess the one ingredient they did not have, your conscious awareness. The alchemical process requires fire, and your desire to heal, your willingness to look into the shadows, your courage to feel the pain without being consumed by it, that is the fire. Your awareness is the flame that can finally transmute the heavy lead of generational suffering into the radiant gold of wisdom, compassion, strength, and freedom. Every struggle you have faced, every pattern you have fought, every moment you felt that inexplicable weight on your soul was not a sign that you were broken. It was a sign that you were chosen by the soul of your own family to be the one with enough light to step into the dark laboratory of the past and begin the great work. You are the one your lineage has been waiting for. You are the turning point. To understand that you are the alchemist is the beginning. But alchemy is not an intellectual exercise. It is a sacred practice. The knowledge we have explored is the map. But now we must walk the territory. We must embody the transformation. What follows is not just a meditation. It is a protocol. A protocol is a series of steps based on a deep understanding of a system, designed to produce a specific and repeatable result. This protocol is designed to interact with the deep laws of the family soul, to restore order, and to allow you to reclaim your own sovereign power. I invite you to find a quiet space where you can stand undisturbed, even if only for a few moments, and participate in this act of liberation. The first step is to acknowledge the source, to honor the natural hierarchy of life. Stand comfortably with your feet firmly on the ground. Close your eyes. And in your mind's eye, visualize your parents standing behind you. And behind them, their parents. And behind them, their parents, stretching back in two long lines into the mists of time. This is your river of life. Feel, don't just think, the immense current of life force that has flowed through every single one of them to reach you. It had to pass through every heart, every struggle, every triumph, just to arrive here, now, in this moment, in you. This life force only flows one way, from the past to the present. Place a hand over your heart, take a deep breath, and say these words, either aloud or silently within yourself. I receive this life from all of you. I thank you for everything. The cost was high. Feel the truth of those words. Whatever their lives were, whatever their flaws, they gave you the one thing that could not be withheld. They gave you life. Receive it now fully without judgment. The second step is to release the entanglement, to lovingly return the burden that is not yours to carry. With the image of your lineage still behind you, bring your awareness to the weight you have been carrying. That anxiety, that sadness, that pattern. See it in your mind's eye as an object. Perhaps it is a heavy suitcase, a dark stone, or a tangled rope. Feel its weight in your hands. Now, physically extend your hands out in front of you, as if presenting this object. This is not an act of anger or rejection. It is an act of profound respect and order. Take another deep breath and say with firmness and compassion, with all due respect, I now return this destiny. It belongs to you. I carried it out of love, and out of love, I now give it back. I will do something good with my own life, in your honor. This is the greatest gift you can offer them, not to suffer as they suffered, but to live the freedom they could not. Feel the weight leaving your hands. Watch as it flows back down the line to its rightful owner, not as a burden being reimposed, but as a story being returned to its own chapter. The final step is to activate your potential, to reclaim your sacred place in the flow of life. Now, with your hands empty and your heart open, take one deliberate physical step forward. As your foot touches the ground, you are stepping out of the line. You are stepping out of the past and into the open space of your own life. Feel this new space in front of you. It is your potential. It is your future unwritten. It is free from the invisible loyalties and the heavy burdens. You are still connected to your lineage, but you are no longer entangled in it. They are now behind you as a source of strength, not a source of suffering. Feel their blessing, not their burden. And in this new open space, say these final words. Now I take my own place. With your blessing, I choose my own destiny. Stand here in this freedom for as long as you wish. This is your truth. This is your power. This is your life. And so we discover the truth. The journey to find the God within is not a solitary climb up a distant mountain. It is a loving return to the river of your own lineage and the claiming of your rightful place within it. The echoes you once felt as a burden, you can now recognize as a call. A call to step out of the chorus of repetition and become the lead vocalist, singing a new song of freedom for the entire symphony. What we have done here is not just an exercise in understanding. It is a sacred act of remembering the forgotten ones, remembering your own power, and remembering the truth of who you are. Not just a leaf on a branch, but the entire tree, with roots deep in the past and branches reaching toward an unwritten sky. Carry this one truth with you. Let it be the amulet for your soul. You are not merely a descendant. You are an ancestor in the making. Every chain you break for them. Every wound you heal in yourself, you heal for the entire system. What you transform now is not just your own life. It is the quality of the silence, the music, and the love that will echo into the lives of your children and their children's children. As you move back into the rhythm of your life, hold this one simple question in your heart. What is one gift of strength, of creativity, of resilience that you know your ancestors gave you? And how can you consciously choose to honor that gift just for this week? In the comments below, I invite you to share one strength or talent you feel you inherited. Let us witness and celebrate the gold that runs in all of our bloodlines together.